Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this fourth day of February here. We're just a few days away here now from the Super Bowl. So I got a great show with you for tonight. Had a great show last night, huh? I'm sure you all like that. I do want to make a quick announcement. Now, for tomorrow, I don't have any guests on tonight, but tomorrow I'll have Jason Patterson at 30 minutes past the hour. And at the top of the hour, we'll be talking about this. I don't know what that thing's about. What in the hell? Let's see. Remove that. Sorry about that, folks. Had a technical malfunction here. But at the top of the hour, I have Jeffrey Deskovic. Going to ask him about these stuff. A lot of trades going on. Going to talk about that tonight. Jimmy Butler, not sure where he's going to go. Said he does not want to go to, like I said the other day, I don't think Jimmy Butler wants to play for the Golden State Warriors. Got some sound bites here from Kevin Garnett. But also Myles Garrett wants to be traded in the NFL. Mary Kay Cabot, reporter out of Cleveland area, thinks it's a bad idea. I think that they should listen to offers here. And I'll go over my case for you want to err towards the side of actually trading him for a boatload of picks. Potentially, the Athletic says potentially 2 first-round picks. Now, Andrew Berry, the general manager, is saying, I don't think so. Everybody says that, you say it and then it actually gets done. So talk about that as well. But stand by. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. Thanks.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then, I'm back here live. And listen, folks, if you missed it last night, go back and check out my sit-down with Jamie Paggs, which is also the Philly sports guy. This guy's pretty well known. He's pretty famous around. He does commercials. He did a Motrin commercial there is what I want to say, aspirin or Tylenol commercial there for the not technically for the Eagles. He's the Eagles super fan. He's his own celebrity. He's also made a note that he will be on Good Morning America on Thursday. So the guy I interviewed yesterday will be on Good Morning America Thursday down in New Orleans talking about the Super Bowl and whatnot. Very good. And of course, for those of you who follow my social media, you saw the clips of yesterday's program, but just a few here. Also got one of the score here. I think I'm going to save that in case that comes in. Pax thinks it's going to be a 2-score win by the Eagles. So good stuff there. And again, tomorrow at the top of the hour, I'll have Jeffrey Deskovic getting his take on these NBA trades. What he thinks the Knicks should do, if should do anything, if they should simply stay put, get his thoughts on this big Luka Doncic, which is we're still unpacking that trade. That's not a one-day story. This is Babe Ruth to the freaking Yankees type of deal. This is a massive story here. So I'll have him on tomorrow. And, of course, Jason Patterson to talk the Kansas City Chiefs game on Thursday or on Wednesday as well. So I'm going to have a 2-part, 2-guest program on tomorrow. So make sure and stand by for that. Okay? All righty then. As far as tonight is concerned, okay, so more on this Luka trade. I mentioned the other day that this is really got, I'm sure the ratings are going to go up because of this. The Dallas Mavericks have refunded. This has caused a lot of uproar with the fans. Have refunded season ticket holders who wanted their money back because Luka was traded. It's caused some backlash there amongst, and Dallas honored that. Okay. But also there's rumors that, and I'll get into that a little bit later, where these actually came from. I want to say the Athletic saying that the Mavericks are going after Kevin Durant. I'll touch on that in a little bit. I'm not sure if I would do that because they've got so many young pieces there. I'm not going to give up a PJ Washington, even or Derek Lively for Kevin Durant. I don't know if I'm going to do that. That doesn't gel well with me. I want to keep my young legs there mixed with my old legs there if you're still trying to run for a championship. But I do want to go back to what I said yesterday in regarding to this. I did not get the soundbite. Okay. There is Kevin Garnett. I found this off the TikTok app, which I could get some of these plugs here, talking about going back to these players, the level of entitlement of the NBA players right now. But the stuff with Jimmy Butler has been suspended, just not even wanting to show up. Jamie Pags even mentioned this yesterday on the program, that Ben Simmons, they're going to come up with this new CBA coming up here in another year or so. Ben Simmons is they need to put a Ben Simmons rule. They probably will, where a player can't say, well, I just don't want to show up for him play anymore, but I still want to get paid. Here's Kevin Garnett going off about that. Here's a bite I found online talking about that. It ties all in together with this nonchalant, giving the players too much power type of league that has caused the ratings to totally plummet. Listen up. This is Kevin Garnett.
Open up for all this right here, bro. This is how non-guarantees are going to come into our league right here for shit like this. We fucking fought our ass.
You already didn't hurt him, so I apologize for the curse words, but this is real and authentic. Listen up, Kevin Garnett, a former player. You would think he would be totally in line with the players, but even he's got something to say.
Open up for all this right here, bro. This is how non-guarantees are going to come into our league right here for shit like this. We fucking fought our ass off through 5 and 6 goddamn lockouts to get to a point where there's where we protect the integrity of the talent. And then that talent has a responsibility to be professional, come in here and do your fucking job. You think I like Glenn Taylor? You think I like that motherfucker?
No.
Nah, you think Paul like Witt at one point when they weren't seeing eye to eye? We came in, we did our fucking jobs, you got paid, and you went home. You go home, soon as you get opportunity to change that, you change it. But bro, I ain't finna come in here, make a mockery, one, be a distraction to the other guys in here.
Right.
Because, bro, that's what you're doing. You know what? John Wall did the perfect thing. When Houston and John Wall didn't see eye to eye, they both sat down and said, look, this is what we finna do. You go home, young fella. Go do what you gotta do, work on your business, do what you do. Don't be a distraction. John Wall was out for 2 years. He was with Houston Rockets for 2 years. You never saw him around. You never saw him on the bench. He wasn't a distraction. Never heard none of that, right?
Right.
Man, he dissolved, bro. He got paid those 2 years some real money. You didn't hear none of that. He wasn't in no narrative.
Right.
Bro, this could have went a whole nother way.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And Pat, both sides could have actually squashed all of this. But this is a message. This is a message not only to the league, but this is a message between upstairs and the power up players.
Right.
James
Harden was
where he said the non-guaranteed contracts, and I think a portion of that should not be guaranteed. I think if you get paid when you play. Now, obviously, there's real injuries involved. There's a portion of that could be guaranteed. You have the same thing in Major League Baseball. Both have suffered tremendously from ratings gaps. Their ratings decline. Now, baseball's on the upswing because they've changed some things with the pitch clock and whatnot. Just wanted to add that. Did not get those sound bites in. Those are former players. These guys are almost one, especially a guy like Kevin Garnett. And Glenn Taylor, by the way, that's the former owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's who drafted Garnett, I want to say, back in 1995 there. So you got guys like him saying it. You've had guys in the past, your Stephen A. Smiths, when Kyrie Irving pulled his stunts. And I think I mentioned this yesterday. I was wondering why the owner there or the general manager there, this guy wants to have a certain culture and whatnot. He took a Kyrie Irving, major gamble. They got to the finals last year. That was the year before last, of course, at the trade deadline. A straight gamble by Nico Harrison and whatnot, the GM. And then he does this because he thinks that Luka has had weight issues and whatnot and not 100% committed. So it's, you kind of contradicting yourself a little bit. But that being said, Kyrie's been on his best behavior. He's been on his best behavior since he's been a Dallas Maverick. Just wanted to get those sound bites in. Still a lot of feathers that are ruffled there from Mavericks fan. I think it was a Mavericks fan that put this on here of a video of another fan finding out that Luka has been traded. Listen up, pretty funny stuff here. What's up, Carlos? All right, here's a fan's reaction that Luka got traded. Carlos, listen up.
What? What? You son of a bitch. You no good damn.
How do you feel about your experience on Hidden Camera?
Angry.
Actually, that is Chris Farley in a skit back in Saturday Night Live back in the 90s where he was told that this coffee was decaffeinated when he thought it was caffeinated. But that was going around the other day. But there's some truth to that. Because like I said, the fans got reimbursed their tickets. Some of the season ticket holders, the organization says, hey, if you want your money back, we'll give you your money back, And Carlos says you've got 5+ assists, 19 points a game when healthy. And listen, they're still in this thing. Barkley thinks, Shaq thinks that they can still win the championship. I'm also in that realm of thinking with those guys that they could still win the championship. That's they just got the defense they needed on the inside there. They got no deep. Now, of course, you say, what about the scoring? Well, that's a $64,000 question. But as of today, as of right now, before the games are being played, Dallas is an 8 seed. They're at the top of the playing game. I think they would have to win one game to be that 8 seed. Now, let me be frank here. 26 wins, 24 losses to be a 4. Between 4 and 3 is 32 and 31 wins. So essentially, Dallas is they're like 5 games out of 3rd place, and that's Houston. You know, Denver is in 4th place at 31 wins. You know, so essentially, and the Lakers are at 5th at 28-19, and Luka's making his debut on Saturday. If he stays healthy, he hasn't played since Christmas time, and I want to say it's his 4th calf injury. You know, and also the Lakers are involved. Now, I will say this. Now, the Lakers are also potentially in line, potentially in air quotes, to get a Nikola Vucevic from Chicago to replace the size there of Anthony Davis there. And the Lakers technically are 28-19. They're missing a big defensive rim protection down low there in Anthony Davis here. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I mean, they've got this guy, Jackson Hayes, is listed as their starter right now. But technically, you've got Luka as your point guard, Austin Reeves shooting guard, LeBron's your small forward, Dorian Finney-Smith is your power forward, and then this Jason Hayes guy. So it's a lot of rumors going on right now. And until then, we just got to go with what we know, all right? But this is The Athletic. I've got up on that screenshot. The Dallas Mavericks are looking to add Kevin Durant next to Kyrie and Anthony Davis, according to The Athletic. League sources say Dallas Mavericks, fresh off their Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis swap, sent shockwaves through the association, have dreams of adding Durant to Davis-Kyrie-led group, while likelihood of Dallas pulling off now appears unlikely. The mere idea of Durant joining Dallas' star-studded group sheds new light of thinking the Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison, after it was ridiculed for the Doncic deal. Yeah, he could have got more picks. He could have got 3 or 4 more picks, you know. But that's all talk right now. It's all talk. You know, as far as Kevin Durant, what are you giving up for Durant? I'm just not going to give up a ton of picks for. I'm not giving up these young players for Kevin Durant. It's just not happening, you know. I'm not going to give up a P.J. Washington. I'm not going to give up a Derek Lively. But it's the mix of those players with Doncic being 25, with Kyrie as your older vet. That's what makes this team go. You've got that right mixture. And if you got a 32-year-old Anthony Davis who has been injured in the past, although the last 2 years he's been pretty good, you add him with the Kyrie who has been injured in the past, and also an older player with the Kevin Durant who is always injured in the playoffs. I don't know if I would do that. I just don't know, Carlos, if I would do that. And, you know, I'll ask you about this coming up on Friday's program here. Carlos says Dallas wasn't going to play Tatum money for Luka. And I mentioned that on this program about 2 years ago before Boston won their championship. I said, what if you could trade Luka for Tatum? the 340. Why would you want to play the Supermax to Luka if he's had 4 calf injuries? He's 260, 270 every single year. Like I said yesterday, but I was limited on time. Every single year, he's out of shape when to start the season. And I know about his records and books and everything else. So Luka fans, I like Luka too. But every year I'm looking at him, the same thing. I'm like, this guy's got to win. And then he says it. Hey, yeah. Other words, they're not going to do nothing. The league's not going to do nothing. And just like Kevin Garnett said, just like Jamie Paggs, guest said, just like I've been saying, they need to in the next. If you have to do another lockout for a year or two, do a lockout. Get it right. Get it right. Take away these guaranteed contracts. You got Zion Williamson's out of shape. You got Jimmy Butler don't even want to show up to the games. You got Luka's out of shape every year to start the season. Very Shaq-like, except Luka's not 7 foot and can dominate like Shaq could in the paint. He's a better skilled player, but he's not as dominant on the inside, and the league would just let him push right through people, you know. I didn't realize I was actually on the site. I wanted to look at their depth chart here. The Dallas Mavericks here. The roster and make sure I've got all these guys right here. I just hit Minnesota Timberwolves. So, they got to the finals last year. I know they led on him a lot. I guess the thinking is that it can still work, you know. It can still work here for these guys. Yeah, so now you've got, as of today, I forgot they still have Spencer Dinwiddie. You've got Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson. Did I forget to mention Klay Thompson, Max Christie, P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington, what is Washington out for? They're up 65-58, by the way. P.J. Washington, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford. Anthony Davis is a power forward, by the way. Caleb Martin. You've got Caleb Martin on this team. Dwight Powell. This is a pretty freaking good team. Klay Thompson, he's an older player. I forgot to mention him as an older player. So, yeah, Kyrie aging, Klay Thompson aging, P.J. Washington in his prime, Anthony Davis on the back end of his prime, and then Gafford's a veteran player here. And, of course, like I've already mentioned before, that Lively has been out with injury. Hopefully they'll get him back at some point before the playoffs. This is an interesting team. And then you got Jason Kidd. But, again, I mentioned this yesterday. Nico Harrison, the moves that he's made, what's got this team in the finals last year. Why everybody's back. I'm the only one of the people that's not bashing this guy, this general manager. Dallas saw after losing Brunson, Luka needed more support. Playing with Luka is not a viable solution. And that's a good point. I think maybe there's some now I know Mark Cuban's already sold the team. You got new ownership. But I think looking back at your history here, they moved off Porzingis, but Porzingis had injury problems. They let Brunson go. A lot of people are not playing well with Luka. I think LeBron's going to make this work. We're going to find out starting Saturday. We'll find out starting Saturday. But a lot of guys really can't play. Luka's very dominant, ball dominant. You know, they're lucky to have gotten to the finals last year. So who carries the ball up? Is it LeBron or is it Luka? LeBron early, Luka late. That's how I would do it if I was the Lakers, you know. But looking back at the Lakers depth chart, I mean, you know, I just mentioned the starters there. Now you add a Vukovic in there over Jason Hayes. That would give them a legit shot to win the title because now you've got Austin Reeves and Dalton Kincaid. And mind you, folks, according to Vegas, Lakers have a better shot to win the title than the Mavericks do. You know, we got a lot of basketball left. We even got to the All-Star break yet. This is just a trade deadline. You still got March. We still got the rest of this month. You got, another week or so after the All-Star break, and then you have the whole month of March. They can make a run. You're only talking about 3 to 5 games difference between Dallas and, say, the 3 and the 4 seed. That's pretty interesting stuff there. They could go on a big run after this. So I see how it plays out, you know. Just reading a little bit more of the backlashes. Carlos says Lakers can blow money even if they don't turn a championship. It's okay. Yeah, that's true. Lakers got a lot of money. They seem to fall into things. Luka may not work out this year per se. LeBron could move on. They can move on from LeBron, open up his cap space, and build around Luka. Maybe Luka has the wake-up call that he needed, and he gets in shape. Maybe he does the Shaq thing. He gets motivated after Shaq was traded to Miami, and maybe they find another star around Luka there. So the Laker fans are ecstatic about it. Looks like the Lakers overall won the trade. But again, like I said yesterday, if Dallas, for whatever reason, wins a championship in the next 2 years, and in the next 7 to 8 years, Luka does not, this will look like Dallas won this trade. You know, pay grade is spinning the building. Yeah, the Lakers have a lot of income and stuff. They're a little bit crazy at owner, but Rob Pelinka did pull it off, you know. He did pull it off here. There's some other rule. Let me talk about this other trade that Carlos. I told you I wasn't poo-pooing this thing the other day. I had Carlos on. I said this thing could get off the rails. I didn't think it would get this far off the rails, but I did say this NBA trade deadline could be a big deal. I could feel things bubbling over, and it most certainly did. De'Aaron Fox was traded. De'Aaron Fox will be teaming up with Victor Wembanyama. Fox, 27 years old, folks. He's 27 years old. With the young Wembanyama, we're talking, what is Wembanyama, 2021. But looking ahead now, when he re-signs in 26, he have already said he wanted to be a San Antonio Spur. He's looking ahead towards his best years, 28 to 32 range, okay, in the next 3 to 4 years. And then you got a 23 to 27-year-old Victor Wembanyama, okay. By the time he's 31, 32, and I'm talking about a De'Aaron Fox, Wembanyama, you're talking 23, 27 years old in his prime, could be the best player, and a lot of people are projecting him to be the best player in this league. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be at the trajectory that he has taken these first 2 years, okay? So this is not a bad team as it is. Now, of course, I know they got Chris Paul on there, and I don't think Chris Paul's good. He's just kind of an old head on this team as we speak right now. But you got Stephen Castle still on this team, Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox, and now, of course, they'll probably move off Paul here. But you know, with Wembanyama, that doesn't mean they can't add another player in another year or so. This is a very good. This is a guy gambling on the trajectory of Wembanyama. Plus, I think a guy like Greg Popovich, who's had a stroke earlier this year, I think he'll probably retire any minute now. Between now and next year, you'll get one of those good assistants, maybe Ime Udoka, who's coaching. Remember, he was a former Spurs assistant. He's currently coaching the Houston the Houston Rockets right now, and they're up there in that 2 and 3 seed. They're hovering around 2 and 3 seed right now. So, listen, guys just wants to win. I take my hat off to players that put winning first. There's so much money in the NBA right now. I'm not trying to air quote supermax on the team I'm not feel like I'm going to win on. I'm just not going to do that if I'm a Fox. He already signed his second contract. So I commend Fox for that. It's already been done. We'll see how that thing plays out. Now, The Athletic is on fire with this stuff. They're also reporting a 3-team trade involving the Warriors, the Heat, and the Suns, sending Andrew Wiggins to the Heat and Jimmy Butler to the Suns has not been done yet, but that has been discussed, Carlos. All right? That has not been done yet, but this is being discussed according to The Athletic. Now, you send Wiggins to the Heat. You still got a young player there. I don't know what the Heat would want to do with Wiggins. He would probably fit the system there. And then you would send Jimmy Butler to the Suns. Both the Warriors and the Suns have cluttered salary structures, but I know that he's not going. I said I don't think he'd want to play with the Warriors, and he says he does not want to play with the Warriors. So putting him with the Suns, and then the Suns move Durant. I don't know. I don't know what the Suns want to do. But this is being discussed here. As I said before, I'm not sure a lot of people want Jimmy Butler right now, But then again, I didn't think that I did not think that that anybody would want Kyrie that was a contender, and that Dallas got Kyrie, took that chance with him, and then it worked out. Could you fit a Butler in a I don't know, a Minnesota as a role player? Could you fit, and I said this the other day, with a Denver as a role player? Possibly. And listen, folks, today is only Tuesday. The trade deadline is Thursday, and I haven't heard a peep or read a peep out of Minnesota yet. And they've got old players. Or not Minnesota, Milwaukee, excuse me, with Giannis and Damian Lillard and none of that. And they should try to get younger too. Why didn't they go after Giannis? I do not know. Or why didn't Dallas go after Giannis? Maybe because I guess Luka wouldn't sign with Milwaukee an extension. They're talking a big contract here. So that is all I'm hearing right now. Anthony Davis on playing with Kyrie Irving. He said, me and Kyle talked about it back in 2018. We've been wanting to play alongside each other for some time. So listen, it's a lot to play out. But I do like this general manager, man. I mean, and by the way, Draymond Green is a player the Suns would convert in trade talks with the Warriors, by the way. So that's also being talked about. So it's a lot going on right now there, Carlos, and everybody else that's listening. I'm still trying to figure out. Now, I'll say again, if the Lakers don't give up too much for Vucevic, that's an interesting story. That's if they can get Vucevic, the center from Chicago, and not give up all their young prospects, they can make a run. They can make a serious run at the title, And Boston's been quiet. Boston would probably still be the favorite. I've already mentioned this stuff yesterday. I might have erased it. Oh, here it is. So you got the Celtics. This is as of right now. This could change. Celtics, Thunder, first, second. Cleveland's up to 3. The Knicks are 4. I'm not sure if I would put the Knicks above Cleveland when it comes playoff time. The Nuggets are 5. The Lakers are 6 in odds, followed by the Grizzlies at plus 28, tied with Milwaukee plus 28. The Clippers plus 35. Rockets plus 4,000. and 4,100 for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, some wild gambler may put some money, put $100 on the Dallas Mavericks at plus 4,100. Woo! That would be interesting, right, Carlos? Put $100 on them. And I want to say that was my team to win it all this year. But listen, I'm not in the room with the, I mean, I could see it from a distance about Luka's weight problems. You could see it, but I think that there's more to it than beats the eye. I've read this before that something about he wanted to use his own trainers and all this stuff. They gave him some time during to get back to go on a diet, and he didn't fully go on that diet, and then he got this injury, and then that happened around Christmas, and it put him out till now. So this is a reoccurring thing here, going back to what I was heard about yesterday. So you got to put all that in a vacuum. Do you want to pay a guy $340 million that can't come in shape all the time? You know, Colin Cowherd said the guy kind of reminds me of Carmelo Anthony, except he's more talented. You know? And I said he's kind of like Shaq, except he's not as big. He's not quite as big. He's more physically skilled than Shaq, but he's not as big, and I don't think he's going to have the success of a Shaquille O'Neal. 4 championships. They had to change the rules for Shaq, you know. But let me get to this other stuff here. I will be watching it. The trade deadline is more interesting than the NBA games right now. Another big NFL story here. I have to go back to my other set of notes here. Myles Garrett in the NFL, arguably the best defender in the NFL right now. Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Already won Defensive Player of the Year. Well of a resume. 29 years old. Will be 30 in December, by the way, Myles Garrett. Looking at what Cleveland's doing, or lack thereof it, has officially requested to be traded. General manager, Cleveland's like, well, we're not going to do it. We've already said we're not going to do it. Yada, yada, yada. But Mary Kate Cabot, longtime respected writer for the Cleveland Browns, Cleveland.com. I think she's independent. She says that she doesn't think that they should trade him, that it would not make any sense. I never take anything off the table. Yeah, you all know how I am. If you have the scouts, they have a lot of Harvard guys running their scouting and running their front office. They're really high end with that. But listen up. Listen up. Listen to her explanation, and then I'll give you my counter. This was in Cleveland.com today. Why it makes no sense for the Browns to trade Myles Garrett, and they won't, Mary Kate Cabot says. She says it makes no sense for the Browns to trade Garrett still in his prime, and there are plenty of reasons why they won't honor his request. At the Senior Bowl last week, Andrew Berry was adamant that he wouldn't trade Garrett, not even if the team offered 2 first-round picks, which Athletic also said they could get 2 first-round picks. The Browns haven't budged from that stance and are truly committed to keeping him in a Browns uniform. For starters, what she says, the Browns aren't in rebuild mode and plan to get back to winning as soon as possible. One of the quickest ways to do that is to keep one of the best defensive players in the NFL on your roster. If the Browns land a winning quarterback in 25, which they've got the number 2 overall pick, she says, or a veteran, they should be able to get back to 500. And in a perfect world, make a playoff run. They still have enough talent on both sides of the ball. Jerry Jeudy, Denzel Ward. I do agree with Denzel Ward. David Njoku. Then she mentions Joel Batano on the offensive line and Wyatt Teller, which one of those could retire. I think she meant Batano the Browns have the foundation for success if they get consistent play out of the quarterback, she says. And, of course, if they start a rookie such as a Cam Ward or Schroeder Sanders, which probably be available, one's going to be available at 2. But if Sanders is available, Dion, the dad's already said, I don't want my son playing for Cleveland. You don't want a situation like an Eli Archie Manning where he says we're not going to play there. Or John Elway says I'm not going to play for the Baltimore Colts. So you got to keep that in mind, okay? What's more than that, there aren't many teams that would have draft capital and the cap space. Now, the cap space, I disagree with her here because you can make cap space. You want a guy like that bad enough, look at the Saints. You can make cap space and make it happen if you feel like you are in the Super Bowl window, per se. If Barry stated emphatically last week that he wouldn't trade him for 2 first-round picks, it would take more than that just to get him to listen. In addition to, the new team would have to sign him to an extension. I don't know why they would. He's still got 2 years left on his deal. Somehow in the neighborhood of $35 million a year, which is around what Nick Bosa's making at 34. Garrett will be 30 in December, like I just said, battling through numerous injuries past several years. It might be risky to commit many resources to him. Most Super Bowl contenders are also pretty well stocked at key positions. And lacking cap space would to extend him. Besides, the addition of a premier edge rusher doesn't always pay off. After the Bears' blockbuster trade with the Raiders for Khalil Mack, they made the playoffs twice in 4 years, but lost both times in the wild card. They surrendered first-round picks in 19 and 20, as well as a third-rounder in 20 and a sixth-rounder in 19. It didn't change their fortunes. They didn't draft well. On paper, folks, it looked like the right deal for Tennessee to trade A.J. Brown for a first and a third-round pick for a guy who had a leg injury, even though he was coming into his second contract, not his third, his second contract, and showed some issues there. If you get the right players and don't have to pay $25 million to a wide receiver, it's a great move. Ask the Kansas City Chiefs, who traded Tyreek Hill and built that defense up that they have today. They're going for their third Super Bowl. But if you have a bad scouting system and a bad general manager, like the Raiders have had for a long time, yeah, it's probably not going to work out. But you got to make the right picks. I say that because you're not paying $35 million to an edge rusher. Okay? And then she says, that was a lot of picks right there. A good general manager would have made that Khalil Mack trade work. But the Khalil Mack did get them to the playoffs when they hadn't been in the playoffs in a while. And they get there twice. You can't help it. Mitch Trubisky is Mitch Trubisky. The Raiders, conversely, didn't spend those extra first-round picks in the postseason gold because she says less than 50% of first-round picks make it to their second contract with the original team. The picks aren't always as valuable as they might seem. And if they trade him to a contender, the first-round picks wouldn't be that high. Well, that's why you got to get multiple picks there. And he's got a good 2.5 to 3 years left. This is NFL. So that's 2.5 to 3 years. Then he's going to look like Von Miller, if you ask me. Now, going back to my notes, that was what she said. Now, the Raiders, for example, have $90 million in cap space. They just signed, because that Raiders will be one of the teams. You add him with the Max Crosby, they have the kind of money to absorb his contract, and I wouldn't extend him. Why extend him? Play it out, let him be a free agent. He could probably get more money in the free market. You make your run at the playoffs. Then if he plays a year or two and you want to extend him, go ahead and extend him. You know, you can get around a bad contract, not on NFL, I mean, not on a quarterback, but then again, Denver got around. They got by after cutting Russell Wilson in the middle of his. They were in the playoffs last year. You know, look at all the dead cap money that the Rams had. They've had they made the playoffs 2 years in a row with bad cap money. So a lot of that is nonsense. But going back to the Raiders, they would be a team that would be interested at $90 million in cap space. Yes, they need a quarterback. What if they sign Sam Darnold, who could be a free agent? What if they sign Aaron Rodgers, who could be a free agent? Chip Kelly's now their offensive coordinator. They could probably give up that 6th pick and maybe a future pick, the 6th pick overall, another pick this draft, and a future first-round pick and still be okay. And then they would have one heck of a defensive line there with Myles Garrett, with Max Crosby. Plus, they've got Brock Bowers there. And they've had other money to add other pieces to their offensive line. And they'll have enough to pay the quarterback and the edge rusher there. If you're the Raiders, plus you'll still have some more draft capital as well. So that's something they can look into. And then it would also help save about $17 million. The Browns will be able to absorb possibly just letting Deshaun Watson go. We'll also look at the Rams here. Or the Browns, excuse me. The Browns have, I want to say, 11 picks in this draft right now. That is not a misnomer there. I mean, that's how many picks that they have. I have screenshotted so much stuff here. I cannot find their picks here. Here we go. The Browns, I want to say they have the most picks of the team that's picking very high. They've got the 2nd pick, the 33rd pick, the 67th pick, the 93rd pick, the 103 pick. I mean, that is 5 in the top 150. Then you got 167, 178, 191, 203, 214, 215. And then if you add the Raiders' 6th pick, and if you add their 68 pick and a future, I mean, that's 13 picks, folks. You can use that for other teams to trade up, and then you get better picks in the 2026 draft as well. That could take care of a lot of roster needs right there for the Cleveland Browns. And then look, they've got the number 2 overall pick. The Cleveland Browns could have taken a superstar and to make it Abdul Carter from Penn State. That's your direct replacement for Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett, would he want to go to the Raiders? Would he want to go to the Buffalo Bills? Buffalo Bills, they would have to give up multiple first-round picks, probably a 3rd and maybe a 4th this year. They can make it happen. They need a guy like a Myles Garrett. They're very close. They need some players to offset that, but they could probably go after him. Also, I wanted to say that the 49ers they're the 3rd best odds of also trading, according to Bovada official site here, to get the 6-time Pro Bowler and the 6-time All-Proler to go to the Niners. Now, the Niners would probably have to give up players for that, and they would have to give up a pick. So that would be interesting. So if you say, for example, going back to the Raiders, if they got the Raiders could get the Browns could get if Abdul Carter from Penn State, and they could probably get this guy with that 6th pick, because I think the Raiders may be crazy enough to try that because they got Pete Carroll. They got an older coach here. They may get Russell Wilson, by the way. I didn't even mention Russell Wilson. They may even get him. for nothing practically. Get Russell Wilson on that team. They've already got a superstar tight end that is a mega player, maybe the best tight end in the game in a year or so. And he's only a second-year guy in Brock Bowers. So that would be interesting. But going back to, again, what's that guy's name? I can get his name right here. The tackle out of LSU, I would really look into that. Will Campbell. They can get Will Campbell. So they can get, which, by the way, they need a right tackle. They need a left tackle. Get this Will Campbell guy out of LSU. You got Abdul Carter, your edge rusher with the 2 pick. You can try the model that I mentioned yesterday that the Philadelphia Eagles have. How about that? Try the Eagles model of just stacking your roster enough where once you do get a quarterback that you're comfortable with, mind you, listen, folks, Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick, Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. But like I talked about yesterday with Jamie Pags, the Eagles are uber aggressive on every single position. You look at all these analytical guys with this Browns team. Yeah, they made a mistake with Deshaun Watson. But 2 years ago, and by the way, I'm not totally out on what she's saying. She does have a good point. Now, on the other hand, if you keep Myles Garrett, and you're not paying a quarterback, and you get a Myles Garrett, and you can pair him with an Abdul Carter with that second pick, and you sign and find a way to use some of these picks to get one of these tackles that are available, all right, you still have a lot of money that you could save by playing a lot of these draft picks and moving off some veteran players or some bad contracts once we start the new year coming up in March. But again, this site says that the 49ers would be interesting. If I'm the Niners, I'd do what I could to get a guy like a Myles Garrett to pair him with that Nick Bosa. That very well may be what it takes to put them over the top there. They'll have to do some readjusting, but again, you can get any player you want just about if you're willing, if your owner is going to get behind you with adjusting the salary cap. The Saints have been over the cap for years. You can do it if you want it bad enough. And if you're a team like the Niners, who they're not paying Brock Purdy yet, they don't have to pay him next year. He'll be in year 4. Okay. Now they won't have a 5th-year option. I think next year would be his free agent year. Now they may have to extend him at some point, but they technically can just. And if I'm his agent, I say, listen, go ahead and play your best football. If you're the 49ers agent, go ahead, play your best football. Don't sit out a season. The Niners have the 11th pick overall. They've got some pretty good draft capital there. They're going to need it. I expect them to be back and better than ever next year. Just everybody wanted money. It was a Super Bowl hangover year. The Niners can make it, and they could stack their team kind of like what the Eagles have done this year. You can move off of you move off that running back there. Christian McCaffrey, I would move off him and free up some space personally. Rams are already rumored to be moving off Cooper Kupp. So a lot of that's food for thought. Didn't make this the Cleveland Browns show, but he's another big star here that wants to get moved in another league. Now, him wanting to get out of Cleveland, that's more understandable than some of what these NBA players are doing about and griping about. So tomorrow, folks, again, going to have a 2-guest show here. Jeffrey Deskovic going to be back on here, going to ask him about all these trades. Then Jason Patterson going to get the Chiefs side of things here. And how does he see this Super Bowl playing out from the Kansas City side? I've already got my Philly sports guy. He thinks the Eagles can win by as many as 2 touchdowns, what he said yesterday. And I'm curious. I don't know. I'm back and forth. I'm in leaning Chiefs for the most part. But then again, you just never know. I mean, the Eagles with the right game plan could win this game straight up. And it could be a 2-score game if you look at how good the defensive line's playing for the Eagles, But also in the back of my mind, after I talked to Jamie last night, I thought, man, I don't know, I still think about that Rams game where the Rams had a shot to beat them at the very end there. They got a little complacent there, and the Rams complete that pass, man. The Rams could go up a few points there with very little time left for the Eagles to come back there. But they didn't. That didn't happen. You're giving a guy like Saquon Barkley 2 weeks off, man. He's going to be fresh legs. So, anyways, if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back on tomorrow with dual guests here, with 2 guests here. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, here on The Real Sports.